Tim Glade. I'm here at the weekly review tonight. We're talking about a hot topic on every Melburnian's mind, which is congestion. Now with me tonight I've got Tom from Melbourne Roads, I've got Ashley from Melbourne Transport, and I've also got Sarah from Melbourne Planning. So Ashley, tell us a bit about the congestion that's happening in Melbourne and how are you going to tackle it with transport?
Yeah, no worries, Hugh. Well, any Melburnian knows that we have a problem with congestion of public transport, and this problem is just going to keep increasing. By 2050, Melbourne will need to accommodate 6.5 million people and will need to provide a further 1.2 million jobs. As the Public Transport Minister, I have produced the following bus, tram and train plans and have developed the improved and efficiency of public transport system over the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay, fantastic. So tell us a little bit what's happening with the metropolitan buses. How are you going to tackle that? What are you going to do about it?
Well, we're going to continue the development of the high capacity, high frequency direct bus services to establish crosstown, better known as smart buses.
Okay.
Smart buses run every 15 minutes during peak hour and have been designed to complement Melbourne's train and tram networks by providing connections to train stations, tram lines, schools, universities, hospitals and shopping centres.
Okay, and what about, I hear they're planning on extending the tram network actually.
Yeah, that's...
So have you got anything to talk about on that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, yes, I do actually. Yeah, we're looking at extending networks which experience high passenger volumes. Okay. So we are looking at the tram route along Burwood Highway, which is in Burwood East, and we're looking at running that through to Knox City, and that's just to reduce the congestion on Burwood Highway. Okay. We're also looking at extending added services on the docklands.
Okay, fantastic. And what about, obviously, the other point is Melbourne's trains. I always struggle to get onto them. Do you want to tell us what you're doing with those as well?
Yeah, and you're not the only one. The development, to help reduce congestion, we are looking at additional express services out from the outer suburbs of Melbourne. So it's mostly you'll find like the Pakenham lines, they are so full just because the train route is such a long one. And the Frankston line, can't forget about the Frankston line. But yeah, so we're looking at additional express services. Okay,
fantastic. Well, it sounds like you've got some good things in the pipeline there. Now, Tom, you coming from the other side, you're looking at Melbourne's commuters who are travelling by road. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about that? So, what's happening with the East Link there?
Well, there's an 18-kilometre tollway to run from the Western Ring Road all the way around to the Eastern Freeway. And as the Eastern Freeway currently carries 140,000 vehicles a day, this will relieve a lot of stress, and 40% of which currently travels towards.
Well, that's quite capacity, isn't it?
I know, and we need to start doing something about this.
Okay.
Because our roads will not be able to handle this for about 20 years. And it's a long-term alternative to the Westgate Bridge, which was designed to hold 40,000 vehicles a day.
Well, it's definitely gone up since then, hasn't it?
Exactly, it's almost tripled to about 165,000.
Wow, you're kidding me, I didn't know that.
Exactly, and it's going to be rising to about 235,000 within 15 years.
Okay, there you go. And what about, I hear they've got plans for the Tullamarine Freeway as well?
Exactly, well the CityLink and Tulla work hand in hand with the East-West Link, as it's one of the most busiest corridors in Melbourne, carrying around 210,000 passengers.
It's a lot of people.
That is, it's doubled since the year 2000.
Doubled since the year 2000?
Doubled, and it's only going to get worse. 50% which is freight.
Okay.
And it stretches over about 33 kilometres through CityLink all the way down to the Westgate Bridge. And the capacity will increase by 30% just by increasing 2 lanes on each side. And this will reduce the travel time from the Melbourne Airport to the Westgate Freeway by about 16 minutes.
Oh, well, that's quite a big change there.
It is, and it should be completed in about 3 years.
3 years? Oh, fantastic. Okay, well there you are. Well, it's definitely some points to discuss there. Now, one of my passions is actually the environmental impact of congestion, and I think it's we really do need to manage this growth to make a more sustainable future. You'd all agree with me that we need to reduce travel lengths and times.
Exactly, to and from work.
Absolutely, and also the other thing, get really encouraging people to maybe cycle or work and utilise some of the infrastructure that we do have around the city, and also maybe build on that as well. New dwellings to be built more in established areas instead of pushing into the outer suburbs, so maybe building up, taking a bit more of a New York model. And also, you know, making sure that people in saying this are working close to where they live as well. So really utilising our rezoning areas of the city, I'm sure you would all agree.
Reducing their own carbon footprint as a whole.
Fantastic, you get it, Tom?
Yeah, Hugh, I've actually got a question for you.
Yeah, absolutely,
I
please,
was just
Sarah.
wondering how you plan on improving noise and air quality.
Well, you know, the most affected areas are usually mixed-use areas, Sarah. So when we're looking at that, we're looking at areas that are close to roads, we're looking at areas that are entertainment areas, and also industrial areas as well. So that's where we tend to be getting the worst noise and air pollution. So, you know, the Environmental Protection Authority obviously heads that up, so that's their job to really tackle this issue. So they monitor the air and noise pollution, and, you know, they're really stepping up into a bigger role coming with the increased populations that you guys have been talking about.
Of course.
So more compact living, that could be one way to tackle it. Control noise through planning, buildings, and also our urban environment from now and into the future. And also educating our businesses and homeowners as well, you know, the actual population on how they can actually make a change, which I think is important as well.
Definitely.
What about reducing energy consumption?
Well, I think energy consumption, I think, you know, there is a trend, I think, moving to cleaner energy where there are lower emissions.
Solar energy, wind energy.
Absolutely, that's right. And also, you know, really trying to control our atmospheric emissions is really important. So stop-start traffic is not really good. It releases a lot of bad levels into the air, such as nitrogen and hydrocarbons as well. And also, I think, you know, one other thing that we can kind of look at is we can look at maybe charging a fee for people driving in peak hours in the CBD to really, you know, get less cars on the road, which I think is vital to really have a proper impact
More
on
on
the
public
future.
transport and things like that.
Absolutely, walking, cycling, as we mentioned before.
Yep.
Yeah. So Sarah, you've probably got a little bit to say on that topic, you know,
Yeah.
talking about 20-minute cities.
Yeah.
Do you want to lead into a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, the idea of the 20-minute city is sort of utilising our public transport network, less than the reliance on cars. So it's about creating a radius of 20 minutes around everyone's home to active travel. So whether it be 20 minutes within to schools, cafes, community facilities, parks, and sort of improving, you know, community networks as well, like sort of knowing your neighbours a little bit better because you're using public transport and walking as well as cycling, as you mentioned. And on that as well, just about some new technology we're looking at is the work hub.
Okay.
So instead of having to commute to the city, that, you know, your workplace might be at your house and you're able to log into your work network, or as well being a 20-minute radius.
So it's really going to get people off the roads.
Yeah, exactly. So not sort of relying on cars, but yeah, public transport, that type of thing as well. Yeah.
And also decreasing people actually catching transport to the CBD as well,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And just a quick question for you, Sarah. As mentioned before, 6.5 million people are coming to Melbourne in the future. How will you be coping with this huge population increase?
Yeah, I mean, that is quite a significant increase to what we're already experiencing, and we have got quite huge congestion issues at the moment. So what we're actually looking at doing is creating these 5 new metropolitan subregions. So instead of concentrating just in the CBD, sort of spreading it across Victoria. So focusing in on East Werribee, Sunshine, Latrobe, Monash and Dandenong, and for each of these sub-regions as well, each of them having either a port, an airport or freight. So rather than, you know, having these little hubs concentrated in outer regions, sort of,
Definitely sounds like a quite a logical decision, would you all agree?
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, fantastic. Well, listen, that's going to have to wrap us up for tonight, guys. I thank you all for coming in. The information's been fantastic that you've given the public today. Now, guys, if you want any more information, there is actually going to be a report coming out in the next couple of weeks which will actually tackle this issue in far more detail. But in saying that, thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.